Uh, Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD chat. And I am a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist. I am a father of two ADHD kids, and I am married into an ADHD family. I've been working with ADHD for, well, my youngest is 45, so it's been a long time. And we're a little late today because I have been having all kinds of technical difficulties. The wonders of technology. Love it, but hate it when it doesn't work right. Anyway, so today I want to talk about coaching versus psychotherapy, or psychotherapy versus coaching. I am both. I have got over 40 years of experience as a psychotherapist. Everything from the real severe stuff to just more adjustments disorder stuff. And I've been a coach for over a decade now, probably closer to, well, over a decade. Let's just leave it at that. And then with that, I mostly do executives with ADHD and ADHD in general kind of things, families and marriages and so on. Anyway, so there are some differences, and there are some pluses and some minuses. Okay, the first one we want to talk about a little bit is just orientation. Okay, a psychotherapist tends to be looking at your background. Was there some childhood trauma? Was there some parenting issues? Were there, things in the past that have affected you in your current life and that are causing you difficulties, basically? And the therapist is the one who makes the call, makes the decision, makes the interpretations, all that sort of thing. The orientation for a coach is more in the future. What are we going to change to get you to where you can be, where you can live up to your potential and that sort of thing, which, is, I find a way more positive sort of message. So the next thing is in the psychotherapy world, a diagnosis is important. That's also because in the insurance is paying for this world, you have to have a diagnosis or they will not pay anything. So, when you start getting into the diagnostic world, it is a big, well, let's just say there are a lot of steps involved. If, there's psychological testing, neuropsychological testing, psychiatric interviews, psychological interviews, all of those things. And it's, it's a medical model sort of thing where the diagnosis determines the treatment, particularly if there's medication involved. The diagnosis determines, whether you're going to have an antidepressant or an antipsychotic or an ADHD medication, antidepressant sort of thing. All that is based on a diagnosis. Coaching is more of a collaborative sort of thing. The client, they're not patients, they're clients. That's a big difference too. We'll talk a little bit about more about that in the future, but the client is in a collaborative relationship with the coach. Basically the client is saying, I want this, and I want to get better at that, and I want to make sure that I don't lose track of time all the time like I have been doing, and that sort of thing. Um, but it's more a more equal relationship. In psychotherapy, there's a patient and there's the doctor. In most cases, there's also other professions that do therapy that are not called doctor. But anyway, generally, in my case, it's I'm the doctor. Somebody who's seeing me as a psychologist is a patient. That's a subtle but significant sort of distinction. Um, and the diagnosis is terribly important in that world. In my psychotherapy world, it is really important. And what we are doing is we are treating that, and hopefully relieving suffering and all that good stuff, and making it so the person is functioning better. But we're basically going from, I'll say it's depression, being real depressed, can't force themselves to get up and go to work, or just skipping work or not doing work altogether, uh, that sort of thing. So what you're trying to do is get them up to a normal level where they're not feeling so depressed and lacking in energy and motivation and that sort of thing. So with coaching, it's more of a future oriented thing. Hey, I want to, be better at this. I want to, do that better than I have been, and so on. So it's a little bit more uh, positive psychology oriented. That is, that not trying to get to normal, but let's try to be all we can be, sort of thing. The positive psychology kind of stuff. Okay, and then the relationship, I talked about it a little bit, but when you're in therapy, you're a patient. And when you're in a coaching relationship, you're an equal participant. There's uh, a distinct difference in that. I mean, therapy relationships go all the way from you're here under a court order and you will, attend such and such and such and such, and I will write a report to the court. And if you're not meeting your obligations, it could be, I didn't do a lot of this kind of work, but it could be you go back to jail, kind of thing. But that's the extreme. In most cases, that's not even a huge issue, they. But the mindset is that you're the patient, and the psychologist or psychotherapist is the boss, and determines how we go. And of course, if he or she's good, they'll take into account what people are wanting. But that's a totally different way of looking at it versus coming in and, hey, I want to be vice president of in my corporation, or I want to be CEO in charge of finance, CFO, uh, you know, uh, in 5 years or whatever. That's a whole different thing. Okay, and then in psychotherapy, you're trying to understand what's going on, and you're trying to heal them, and versus you're trying to create solutions and action plans. So coaching is kind of a dynamic process where you're okay, you want to get to here, you got to do this. You okay with doing that? Yeah, okay, fine. But you need an action plan, and the action plan is collaborative. It's not like you just lay the words down on on them from on high or anything. It's you work together and develop a plan that based on both of your experiences you think will work. And that's a lot different than what you get in psychotherapy a lot of times anyway. And probably a huge difference is the nature of the relationship. Uh, when it's a doctor-patient thing, it's a pretty much a professional relationship. It's not, uh, well, matter of fact, you're forbidden from most of us. If you're a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and I think social workers too, you have a code of conduct, a code of ethics that you're supposed to follow. And you're not supposed to be involved in a whole bunch of social interaction with your patients. And in coaching, the relationship can be as personal as you're comfortable having it. And there's not a lot of restrictions on that. There's certainly a very limited well, I mean, there are few limits on it. There are a few restrictions, formal restrictions on, a coaching relationship. I mean, there are people coaches who work with multi-millionaires or who work with multi-billionaires, and if they say, hey, let's jump on my private plane and go back to my main office so we can work together for a while. Hey, okay, not a problem. You won't be doing that with patients. That just does not happen. Okay, and one of the orientations that or one of the things that's kind of progressed is coaching. It's not really in response to coaching. It's happened in the field of psychology, is what we're calling positive psychology. Okay, which is basically, why are we just focusing on pathology, depression, anxiety, phobias, all that sort of stuff? Why don't we focus on the potential, what humans could be if they were at their best, and how do we help people get to their best? And that is right down the alley of coaching. It's basically, it's exactly what coaches are trying to do. Is not get somebody so they're just acting normal, but to get somebody so that they've achieved something they weren't sure they could do. Have lived up to their potential. That is a huge difference, and it's a huge. It's well, coaching is in a lot of ways kind of freeing after if you've been in the trenches as a psychotherapist for a while. It's a lot more interesting to be doing coaching, and personally, I feel a little bit more like we're on the edge of what this person could be, instead of just making sure this person is less depressed. So it's in that sense, it's a lot more fun, and it's a lot more interesting, I guess, would be, and a lot more rewarding. As a coach, it's probably a lot more rewarding than I mean, I love being a psychotherapist. I'm not saying that I'm against that at all, but it's just I've always been someone who's been what we used to call the human potential movement back in my younger years, and I've been a sports psychologist. Human performance has always been an interest of mine. So I get to do more of that with coaching than I do as a therapist. And, that's why I now identify myself primarily as a coach. And I think most people, if they had their choice, would probably rather be a client and a co-creator of the experience, or rather than being a patient. I'm assuming that, and I'm speaking a little bit beyond. But the whole deal with positive psychology, that's more in the coaching bailiwick. It's more future oriented. It's more what can you be? How can you live up to your potential? Or how can you achieve all the things that you would like to achieve, but have not been sure that you could? So you're, and the other big probably difference is that coaching is more action oriented. Psychotherapy is a lot more oriented to making you feel better somehow. But coaching is more action oriented. How are you? What are you going to do to get to where you want to go? To get to where you want to be? That kind of thing. And that's an exciting difference. And then it's probably why most businesses either have an in-house coach, or they have one on speed dial for all their C-level, certainly all their C-level executives, but maybe more so, maybe a low, I don't know how low it goes. It probably depends on the different organizations, but they're all big on coaching because it's just, people at their best. And that's what, organizations want typically. So I hope this has been a little bit enlightening for you. I hope you kind of have seen some of the differences, and maybe this has clarified some of your confusion about why do I need both? Some people have both. Some people, I've referred some coaching clients to somebody else to do the therapy part, because you don't want to be trying to do both. That can be an issue that you don't want to have to deal with. So, okay, by the way, I'm a coach. I said that. If you want to have a little interview with me, a freebie, and so we can see if maybe we want to work together, please, you can go to my website, terrygingrassphd.com. And there are all sorts of opportunities to set up a Calendly appointment, and we'll see if we can work together. But I highly recommend coaching. I think it's very, very helpful. It's for some reason I say, but ADHDers are most of the time referred to coaches eventually, because that's, it's the way you look at ADHD. Okay, it's a neurologic difference. Okay. The only thing that makes it a disability is having to function in a society designed for neurotypicals. Okay. If we had a society that valued creativity, alertness, early recognition of difficulties, that wouldn't be considered a disability. So an ADHDer with a good coach can hopefully live up to his or her potential. And that's what it's all about as far as I'm concerned. Okay, we will catch you next time. And till then, let's make the world safe for ADHDers.